Hello everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to create a program using blocks programming. So once you're inside Sphero edu, click on My Programs, then select Create Program or the plus sign. Title your program, so in this case we're going to name it Life Cycle, for example, and maybe put the group name. Click on the blocks program because we're going to use blocks programming. Select Sphero Bolt because that is the robot that we have in the school. Afterwards, click on Create, and your canvas will open. The canvas is the place where you will write your code. Remember that our goal is to create or code a program for your frog, in this case, your robot, to travel around the diagram that you created. So in this example, we're going to have the frog move from one point to the next, depending on the drawing that you made. The first thing you need to do is select the roll block, which is under the movements category. In order to use the roll block, all you have to do is click and drag. So just click and drag, and make sure that you put the block right under OnStart program. So make sure that the block is connected to OnStart program. Otherwise, it will not start later on when you start your code. So the roll block allows you to make the robot move. In the roll block, change the heading in degrees. So this is the heading, the first option that you can change. 0 degrees for Sphero is moving forward. 90 degrees is to the right. 180 degrees is backside. So it's the same as the degrees that you know from your lessons. Let's just say I want the robot to move forward, so I'll just keep it at 0 degrees. But if you want to change it, just change it to whatever degrees you like, depending on your diagram or the diagram that you created. The next thing that you can change is the speed of the Sphero. Now here you can try out or do a trial of which speed is good for you. You can drag, you can drag this to 118, make the speed 87 for example, or you can change it by typing. Click on the number and type on the speed that you like. Let me click on X, and maybe I want a 55 speed. Now Sphero moves, or the speed of Sphero, 100% is equal to 255 in the speed settings of Sphero. That's 100% of its speed. So as you can see, 55 might be a little slow, but again, do the trial and error and decide on the right speed for you and your group. So I'll leave it 55. And the next thing that you can change is the duration. The duration is how long the Sphero will move from one point to the next. Let's just say it is for 2 seconds. Remember, it depends on the drawing that you have or the diagram that you prepared for the life cycle. So basically, the code that we've written is I want Sphero to move straight at 55 speed settings for 2 seconds. So that's what we have just written. Again, do trial and error and see which heading, speed, and duration is the accurate one, depending on your diagram. Add more roll blocks to make the Sphero move from one point to the next. If you want, you can drag 4 more rolls if there are 4 stages in your life cycle, for example. But there is a different way to do that. Let me just remove this. This is how you delete a block if you decide not to use it. Just click and drag down and you'll see the garbage or trash can. Now, you can also right-click on the first code that you've written, click on Duplicate, and voila, add it under there. Duplicate again, and duplicate. So now we have 4 blocks. However, they are on a similar direction, which is 0 degrees. So maybe you want to change it to 44 degrees or 45 degrees. It is definitely up to you. It depends on where your next point in the life cycle is. Okay. So that is how, this is just an example. Again, do trial and error, depending on how big your diagram is or how small it is. Our suggestion, again, is to have a diagram that is big, so that your Sphero robot will have space to move around. Alright, so you can now see that we have duplicated the row block 4 times, or 3 times, so there are now four copies. Alright, so we want Sphero to stop at every point. So you can do 2 things. You can use the delay block or the stop block. In this case, I'm going to use the stop block. Remember, you just click and drag it. So I want it to stop every time it reaches a single point in the diagram. So I have the 4 stops in there. The next thing I want to do is use the speak block under sounds category to make the Sphero ball speak. So the sounds category is the 3rd category right here, and just click and drag. So where should I place it? Most likely I want it to speak right after it stops. So the first thing that I wanted to say is, this is, all you have to do is write what you want the robot to say. This is the first stage in the life cycle of a frog. And then just continue and write all the sentences. There is no limit as to how many sentences and how many words you wanted to speak. Just make sure you put a comma if you wanted to have a simple pause or a shorter pause. And then if you wanted to have a long pause, make sure that you put a period on it. So, okay, I'm not going to write all of it, but remember, whatever you write here should be accurate, and it should be the result of your research or what you have learned in the previous lessons. The next thing that I want it to do is, after it speaks, I don't want it to wait anymore. I want it to continue rolling, meaning after it speaks, I want it to move to the next point or stage in the life cycle. So I just click on continue. Maybe I want it to speak before it starts rolling, so I can add a new speak block here at the beginning and say, hello, my name is Freddy the Frog. Today I'm going to tell you about the life cycle of frogs like me. And then I want it to continue and roll. Okay, so we have commanded our robot to speak in the beginning before it moves to the first point, and then it stops, and then I want it to speak again. So put as many speak blocks as you like. Of course, you need to put the speak block on every stop, because you need to make sure that your Sphero robot will give explanations to the audience every time it stops in one life cycle stage. You can also let it play the frog sound by using the play block under the sounds category. So just left of the speak block is the play block. For example, I want it to play before it rolls. For the first time, I want it to play the animal sound. So let me choose animal. And this is a frog, so I'm going to use frog. There you go. You will hear that frog sound, and I want it to continue and not wait anymore. I want it to keep rolling, so select continue. Alright, you can do this at any point in your code. At this point, you can already start doing a trial and error with your code, and that is by clicking on Start. Just make sure that you have already aimed your robot and you have already connected your robot, of course. Okay, now you can make animations to your Sphero bolt by using blocks under the Lights category. So let's go to Lights, which is right next to the Sounds category. In the Lights, there are so many blocks that you can use, and you're not limited to any block, so find anything, or you can use anything that you think is great for your code or your design. Just be creative and have fun. So in this case, I'm just going to show you the matrix animation. So let's say I want it to appear right here, or maybe while rolling. It depends on you. So before it speaks, I want it to give a matrix animation. The matrix animation are these. There are Sphero animations that are already prepared for you. The heart, there's like smileys, and have lion, but I want a frog. So what I will do is create my own animation. To create your own animation, just click on the plus sign and draw what you want to draw. So remember, we're going to draw a frog face. So maybe I will make this all green. Let me just make this all green so it's easier for me to draw a frog face, and then maybe just put black, okay, and maybe just this, okay. If you make a mistake, just color it again, and maybe my frog face looks nice now, or maybe you can add more if you like. Let's see if this is nice. Of course, you can you can change your image if you think that is not the correct one. So let's say like this, for example. Maybe it's too much, so maybe now this is the frog face. If you're satisfied with your animation, then click on this button, the check button, to save it, and that will be your animation. So you can see, by reading the code, you are allowing the Sphero bolt to animate and give this image of a frog after it stops. And loop means it will keep on repeating, or if you want it just to appear once, then keep it once. But I want it to loop before it speaks, so I'm gonna just keep it at loop. So at this point, you can again click on Start to try out your code. This is how you run your code. Click on Start. And if you are not yet connected to the robot, again, we've shown you the video earlier on how to connect the robot. Make sure that it is connected in order for you to run the code or test your code. We mentioned earlier that in order to connect your Sphero bolt, you have to find the number or the name of your Sphero bolt. The strongest one in the bars is usually the one that you're holding or right next to the device that you have. But if you have so many Spheros right around your device, so make sure that you read what code that is. So in this case, I want to connect to this. And it will definitely tell you if you are connected or not. So I am already connected and I want to aim my robot. Remember aiming in another video that you've seen. Make sure that the tail light is facing you. If you want it to move straight, okay, you have to make sure that the tail light is facing you so that it moves not towards you but away from you straight. Okay, and now you can run your code and start and see if it is correct. And like in all programming, programming